News Talk 1150 WGBR. Welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Carol Bowden, and my co-host for Monday Morning Quarterback Show, Mr. Harlon Neal. Good morning, Harlon.
Good morning, Carol. How you doing this morning?
I'm fantastic. I hope you are.
Another beautiful, crisp morning here. We got a polar vortex coming later this week,
Yeah.
so it'll really be down to single digits or high teens probably. So
well, that wind chill's going to feel like it anyway.
Absolutely. We're getting down to quarterback numbers now, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, well, thankfully we're not there yet, and we're going to have about 3 days of a warm-up, but that's about it, folks, and then boo, chilly.
Boo chilly. Absolutely.
All right, so, hey, we didn't have a too chilly a Friday night, but it's going to be different this coming weekend with some playoffs going on.
Oh, my goodness. Do we have a lot to talk about this morning, so let's jump right into it.
Go for
Okay,
it.
state playoffs start this coming Friday, and a bunch of area teams in action. We'll kind of go right down the line here. Let's talk first about the games Friday real quickly. Eastern Wayne defeated Southern Wayne 47-0. That was 33-0 at halftime, so they were able to go ahead and take care of business there, and they will entertain the Jacksonville Cardinals this Friday night at Eastern Wayne. And that's going to be a family reunion or family feud, whatever you want to call it, because Bubba's going to be coaching against his brother at Jacksonville.
How about that?
Bo Williams. Bo and them will be going at it Friday evening, so
Wow.
that's a tough matchup, too. The 6-4 Cardinals will be coming to Eastern Wayne Friday. Eastern Wayne actually got a 5th seed. And,
Right, and Jacksonville a 12.
12, that is correct. So that's going to be a big, important ball game there. And had a huge game over at Rosewood Friday night as the Princeton Bulldogs. I tell you what, the Dogs got loose Friday night in a 52-12 victory over the Eagles. And Johnny Frazier continues to do his thing. 4 TDs, 272 yards rushing. He just keeps going on. And congratulations to him. You may have saw this early in the week. He got selected to the Army All-American Premier All-Star game, which is in early January. Very prestigious All-Star game that'll be, I believe, January 3rd in San Antonio, Texas. They select the top 90 players in the nation. And so he had his jersey mailed to him this week at Princeton High School. They had a nice ceremony for him out there. So congratulations to Johnny, and certainly congratulations to the Bulldogs, who will enter the playoffs on Friday. They had an interesting situation, though. They actually got bumped up. They're actually a 1A, one single A team. They got bumped up to the 1AA bracket because Winston-Salem Atkins, which was a 4-6 team, opted to not go to the playoffs.
Really?
So it kind of scrambled things up, and sometimes that happens year to year. Some teams elect not to go for various reasons, whether it's injuries or the coach just feels like it's not deserving, or maybe the travel, whatever the reasons are, they decided to opt out of it. So actually, Princeton will be playing Northampton in the first round Friday, so they got a number 4 seed, but obviously if they were in one single A, they would have got a higher seed. So it kind of penalized them a little bit, but I mean, they're still a great team, and I hope they have a great run there, but some things happen like that sometimes.
That's very odd.
It is very odd, but I'm sure they'll do well. And let's see what else we got going on. Charles B. Aycock, they are a 16 seed. See,
They're going up against number 1 seed
Southern Guilford.
Yep.
So that's going to be a big matchup there. And then some other teams that people do follow around here. Clayton will be at New Bern, and Wilmington, New Hanover will be at J.H. Rose.
That'll be
so. And then South Central, that's in that 3A conference, will be at Wilmington Hoggard. The Carolina 1A, all 7 teams got in the playoffs. So we'll run down this list right now. Spring Creek got in the playoffs Friday night with their victory over North Duplin. They'll be playing a tough round matchup. They're a 16 seed. They will go against the Wallace Rose Hill Bulldogs. East Carteret will be playing at Rosewood. Again, we just mentioned Northampton at Princeton. Hopton will be playing at Tarboro. Pender at James Keenan. North Duplin will be playing at Pinetown Northside. And Columbia will be playing at Lakewood. Congratulations to all those local teams that made the playoffs. And then also, Goldsboro did get knocked out of a potential playoff berth Friday. Green Central defeated them. It was like 52-20.
It was.
Rams will be entered. They'll be actually going to Randleman. And then Burlington Cummins, a 2AA team. Kinston made a playoff. Burlington Cummins will be at Kinston. Bertie will be at Aiken Grifton.
Okay.
So that's kind of all the conference affiliations. And again, a lot going on there.
And give a shout out to the Spring Creek Gators. They did
make the
North
playoffs.
Duplin.
They defeated North Duplin Friday night. They had a really nice game, 47-28. A really good game for the Gators over there. They just did a fantastic job. I'm trying to find my notes here of the gentleman that had such a good game for them.
Okay, and you said 40 what to 28? Because I had 34-14. Did we have the wrong score? Not a complete score, maybe?
No, Spring Creek 47, North Duplin 28.
Wow, okay.
That was a big game for them Friday night, a huge game, actually.
I was so out of town Friday night and did not pay attention to anything. So.
Exactly. It was a big night. It was a huge
All right.
night.
Well, while you're looking for that, we're going to jump into some.
Here we go. I've got it. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
good.
Gary
That's all right.
Gary Williams, I'm sorry. The running back had a fantastic game. Rushed for 283 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Woo.
So what a way to go out.
No kidding.
Fantastic job by that young man. Again, congratulations to the Spring Creek Gators.
All right, well, let's talk about some shakeups in the NCAA, and of course, it's reflected in the AP poll this morning for the top 25. Big changes, probably the most notable. Auburn is no longer number 3; they are now at 9.
Oh my God, Texas A&M.
What in the world?
I tell you what, Auburn had 2 costly fumbles there at the end of that game that cost them. And ironically, the week before, Ole Miss had 2 fumbles inside the 5-yard line, and they were able to escape down there. And then of course the one kid, Treadwell, broke his leg getting ready to score for Ole Miss the week before. So sometimes it's a matter of how one play can turn a whole season around. That did a lot of damage to Ole Miss for their vie for a playoff spot. And then this week, 2 fumbles in the late going doomed the Tigers of Auburn. And just a great game all the way around.
Just still mention we've got 3 unbeatens, and that's Marshall. Of course, everybody's kind of questioned their schedule this year, but Marshall, Mississippi State, Florida State, all 3 still unbeaten.
Unbelievable.
It really is, especially this late in the year. It's not going to remain that way. We have, who does Mississippi State play? They're playing Alabama?
Alabama this coming up week. That'll be at Alabama, so that's going to be a huge game.
Yes.
Very big game. And then I tell you what, Ohio State benefited a lot by beating Michigan State the other night. They moved up 5 spots to number 8. Their single loss is to Virginia Tech, which obviously Virginia Tech's not having a good year, so that's hurt them some, but they did move up quite a bit. I tell you, a team, Carol, I would really watch for is TCU, Texas Christian. The Horned Frogs, they are a very dangerous team. They beat Kansas State the other night, and they are looking really good. They're number 5 on the outside looking in. Don't know what the college football panel poll that comes out tomorrow night. They may be still at that 5 slot, but they're right there knocking on the door. Wouldn't be shocked to see them in that one of those final 4 spots before it's all over with.
That's an interesting prediction, and I did get to watch the Michigan State-Ohio State game while I was away, and that was, I'm going to tell you what, one of the most hard-fought games I have seen in a long time.
Unbelievable. And then you still got Oregon sitting there at number 3. This is a good lesson to all the football players out there. They beat number 25 Utah 51-27, and Kalen Clay thought he had a touchdown. Beautiful pass. He was getting ready to score. He forgot to do one thing. Hand the ball to the ref. He dropped the ball on the 1-yard line. And what looked like a touchdown, Joe Walker from the Ducks picked up the ball. They looked around. The referee wasn't signaling touchdown. He looked around, picked up the ball, ran 99 yards the other way for a touchdown. So you're talking about a swing there going that way all of a sudden, and the Ducks get a 51-25 victory. Just unbelievable. It's crazy. There's a lot going on there. Arizona State, of course, defeated Notre Dame. Notre Dame continues to have a lot of turnover issues.
And that pushed Arizona State up 4 spots, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, they're at number 7 right now. So I tell you, it is just really interesting. There's a lot of interesting things that moved up. Duke moved up to 19 in the poll. They had a hard-fought victory over Syracuse the other day. That was a 10-10 ball game. And we always say there's certain plays that spark a team. Last week it was actually a kickoff return for a touchdown. This week it's a 52-yard punt return by Jamison Crowder sparked the Blue Devils. And again, they played a pretty clean game, no turnovers. They did have a couple more penalties this week. Kicking game was huge, and lo and behold, they win 27-10.
But who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that Duke, first of all, would be the only North Carolina ACC team in the top 25, and that they'd be ahead of Marshall.
Exactly. Unbelievable.
Wow. All right, well, we're going to talk some more football on the Monday Morning Quarterback Show in just a few minutes with Harlon Neal. News Talk 1150 WGBR. Welcome back to Newsmakers Monday Morning Quarterback Show with Harlon Neal. All right, Harlon, we know our time's limited, so let's go, darling.
All right, Carol, we'll jump right into a little bit more college football, then we'll head to the pros. Speaking of the Blue Devils, 8-1 overall, 4-1 in the Coastal Division. They control their own destiny. Have a huge game this week against the Virginia Tech Hokies in Durham, and then they also play the Hills the following Thursday night and finish up with the Demon Deacons. So they control their destiny. They went out, they're the Coastal Division champions, and they would be most likely playing the Florida State Seminoles. East Carolina, we've talked a lot about them. They were off this weekend. Ruffin did.
They were off the weekend before.
They were off the weekend before. They've taken 2 weeks off now. Absolutely. And my God, the weather forecast this coming up Thursday in Cincinnati, 28 degrees. So the ball's going to be slick. It's not supposed to rain or any precip, but my God, we saw what a time they had up in Temple the other day in Philadelphia. So guys, hold on to the ball.
Yeah,
secure
let's make
the
sure
ball.
that Worthy and Jones, all the rest of them have
Absolutely.
some good gloves.
But Coach McNeil did a really interesting thing this past week. week. You know, they've been plagued with penalties all year long. They're 123rd in the nation. They're averaging 9.25 penalties per game. And what he did, I thought, which was really neat, he had some officials come into practice and watch them go through their scrimmages and had the officials point out things to him they're looking for.
Okay.
To try to reteach maybe a couple things, tweak a couple of things. And I think that was a good thing to do, because obviously there's a pattern there, and I think it's just sometimes it's technique, the way you're taught certain things. So hopefully that'll spill over into these last games and cut some of those penalties down. That was interesting. The Wolfpack had an invite from our good friend Steve Matthews of Matthews Motors, who I know is a local sponsor here.
And the Walking Man's Friend.
Walking Man's Friend, my wonderful friend, and he's a diehard Pack fan. Beautiful day at Carter Finley. Had all the makings of a great game. It was going good until the second quarter, but Georgia Tech had other ideas. NC State had 3 turnovers in a minute and 37 seconds.
Wow.
Georgia Tech scored 2 touchdowns, one on a fumble recovery and one on an intercepted pass. And all of a sudden, Jacoby Brissett got hit pretty hard, and that game flipped, and they just could never recover. It just turned out to be very, very ugly. It was a 56-23 victory for the Yellow Jackets. That was tough. Now, Carolina's got a big, important game this week. They're trying to become bowl eligible also. They need to win 2 out of their last 3 games. They will play the Pittsburgh Panthers this coming up week up in Kenan Stadium, so that's not going to be an easy task there. And then they play my beloved Blue Devils the following Thursday night in Durham.
And we know how you want that to end.
Absolutely. So State still needs to be either Wake Forest or Carolina to be bowl eligible, so they need to do 1 out of 2 just to become bowl eligible. So we'll see what happens there.
And State and Carolina play on the 22nd.
That's right. Very last game in Chapel Hill, so that's going to be interesting. That game may decide who is bowl eligible and who is not to mention the other things, just the rivalry part of it. So not going to be an easy task by no stretch.
All right, moving into the NFL.
All right, NFL. Let's have some NFL love this morning. What is the deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers? I don't understand it. They lose to Tampa Bay. They lose to the Jets. AFC North.
2 previous games, Roethlisberger throws for 6 TD passes in both games, something that hasn't been done. Come on, what is going on?
Carol, listen to this AFC North. Cleveland Browns are in first place. The Cleveland Browns. Yes, folks, I said it. The Cleveland Browns are in first place. They're 6-3. Cincinnati's 5-3-1. Pittsburgh and actually Baltimore are 6-4. So the good news is all the teams have a winning record, but that's a very, very tough division. Looking around, it's kind of flipped now. New England continues. They're at 7-2. Buffalo did lose yesterday. They're 5-4. Miami's 5-4, and the Jets are down at the bottom at 2-8 in that division. The Denver Broncos took care of business yesterday against the Oakland Raiders. They're at 7-2. Kansas City had a big win yesterday at Buffalo. They're 6-3. San Diego's 5-4. And of course, the poor Oakland Raiders, they haven't won a game. They're 0-9. New Orleans lost a game yesterday. My 49ers finally came through.
Yes,
it was tough. They finally came through yesterday in overtime. Every team in the South has a losing record. The Saints have a 4-5 record. Now the Panthers have a critical game tonight against the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's going to be huge.
And they're sitting at 3-5-1, so they still have a chance, even though their record is not very impressive. They still have a chance to win that division. Of course, Atlanta's 3-6, and then Tampa Bay's 1-8. How about the Detroit Lions? Let's give the Lions some love.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming. And I knew last year they were on the cusp, but they're coming through this
They are
year
coming through. Stafford's a great quarterback. He's got great receivers. Calvin Johnson, they do a wonderful job. They had a huge win yesterday as well. They're sitting at 7-2. And the Packers last night, I saw that score before I went to bed, 42-0 over the Bears. Now, how often do you see that in the NFL?
And that was just at halftime.
That was just at halftime.
The game ended at 55-14.
At 55-14. Minnesota at 4-5, and the Bears, they're sitting down there at 3-5 now, or actually probably 3-6 from last night.
3-6.
Arizona Cardinals, like you said, Carol, off the radio a while ago.
Leading the NFC West.
That is a tough division. They're 8-1. Now, Carson Palmer signed a $50 million deal Friday, blows his knee out Sunday.
Yep.
So what a tragedy there.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it's not, but
Seattle came back hard on the Giants yesterday at 6-3, and then San Francisco had their big win yesterday, 5-4, and St. Louis is sitting at 3-6. But that's a tough division, so it's going to be interesting to see how that comes down.
I want to go back on the Packers game for just a second. Matthews is awesome, but watching Nelson and Rodgers last night,
oh, they're great receivers.
That connection was just phenomenal between those two.
Remember back early in the season, after the game the Packers had with the Detroit Lions, Aaron Rodgers said, "Relax."
Yep.
Relaxed. He knew what he was talking about.
Yes, he did.
And look at him now. So everything is all right up there in Green Bay.
But nothing is all right in the NFL because we're talking about the Cardinals and we're talking about the Lions and Cleveland. Come on.
Carol, it's chaos everywhere. It's
I
chaos
love
in the NFL. It's chaotic. It's crazy. It makes people drink more wine. It makes people do crazy things. I mean, we've got football will drive you absolutely nuts, and that's the beauty of it. It's so unpredictable from week to week, no matter whether it's high school, college, or pros, and we're seeing that this year. I mean, look at the shakeup we were talking about in the college ranks.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen with that stuff? It's a week-to-week thing.
It really
You can't
is.
look beyond it, and that's the beauty of it. That's why we love it.
I know I started out watching Baltimore and Tennessee yesterday as well. Tennessee looked good for just a quarter.
Yeah.
And then, man, Baltimore blew them away.
Baltimore's
So-
they've always traditionally had a very, very tough defense. They continue
No
to have a very
kidding.
good defense. And then some very interesting upcoming games this upcoming week. The Eagles will travel to Green Bay next week. New England's going to be at Indianapolis to take on Andrew Luck and the Colts. The Detroit Lions, they'll be at Arizona. What a game next week.
Oh, that's going to be.
That's a huge game
No
coming up.
kidding.
San Francisco, again, will be at the Giants. Tampa Bay at Washington. Atlanta, the Falcons will be at Carolina. Houston's going to be at Cleveland. Denver plays at St. Louis. Cincinnati Bengals will take on the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. Seattle has a huge game next week against the Kansas City Chiefs. And the Minnesota Vikings will go to Chicago. And who knows? The way the Bears played last night, I don't know. It may not be a good result either way. It's not looking good for either one of those teams. They got a lot of work to do.
And by the way, for some NFL teams that don't generally get the love, 6-3 Bills.
6-3 Bills. They've got a huge game next week. I think they play. Do they play at Miami next week? They got a game coming up against Miami later on. They may be off next week.
It's Monday morning, and I'm not prepared, so you're going to have to answer.
The following Monday night, your Steelers play at the Tennessee Titans, so that'll be the Monday night
And
game
I'm
next
sure,
week.
it could go one of two ways. Ben could be just outstanding and phenomenal, or
here-
they could lose again.
Here we go, Carol. The Thursday night game this week, the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. A very critical
That's
game.
gonna be a good game.
Because both teams are sitting 5-4 in the Eastern Division of the AFC. So that's a huge game for playoff implications.
Wow. We got about 30 seconds here, so let's talk about getting some folks out to
Yeah,
Eastern
go out and
Wayne
support
Friday
these
night.
teams, Eastern Wayne, Princeton, Rosewood, whoever you support. The main thing, get out there and support these teams. These kids work hard all year. This is it, folks. It's down to the playoff times now. So get out there and support these folks. I want to definitely give a shout-out to the United States Marine Corps. Is 239 years old today.
Yes, it is.
Be
They're
sure to
having-
thank your veterans for all that they do. We've got a lot of wonderful military around here in the Wayne County area with our lovely base, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. They give us a chance to do the wonderful things we get a chance to do, and don't take freedom for granted. Y'all have a wonderful week coming up.